being part of the webinar today. I want to just do a quick introduction of what we're going to cover and what the next couple weeks will hold, and then we will move on from there and do a walkthrough and answer all the questions you may have. So I am Samantha Eigner-Treewergy from the Mayor's Office, working on early education policy. I'm here with
Hi, Frank Nichols. I'm here on behalf of AdSysTech to show you the system that we use to manage preschool applications.
And you
Craig Zenke on behalf of CFSO.
And Victor Santiago, too.
And Rima and Sue are listening in, so if you have any questions for any of us along the way, please feel free to write those in, and we will make sure that that we get them all answered for you and taking notes where we don't have the answers quite yet. So I'm going to go over to give you a little overview of what has happened and what is going to happen over the next couple weeks. So last week, the main person, the main primary administrative contact that you put on the form you gave us for the application process should have received access to the application system. If you did not get the access, then please do contact, or if you're having any trouble with that access, please do contact either Craig or Victor or Miriam or Yannette. All of their information is listed on the screen right now and was also sent to you in an email yesterday. Please contact them. They'll be able to help you problem solve and get through to the system to make sure you're able to log on and access all of the information that we're about to cover.
For Craig and Victor, we would suggest emailing us. That's the best way to contact us right now, and we can definitely get back to you. It'll take us a little bit longer to get back to you via phone, but we are slowly but surely returning phone calls.
And many people, I mean, I think hopefully a lot of people were able to log on, and making sure that as you log on, if there are other people from your organization who need to have the information, need to be able to have access, that you can do that by going, and you'll see the instructions in a moment, but you'll do that by going to the left-hand side and clicking on the Provide Access page. Frank will walk through it step by step in a little while, leaving time for questions, but want to make sure that you yourself can do that right from the system itself. You do not need Victor, Craig, or Miriam Yannette to add additional people. You just, if the original person is having trouble logging in, that will be your contact to help get through that. I will also say right now, community-based organizations have one type of access. That is the ability to see the application pages, check in with applicants, check applicants out, and see your site application page, all of those who have applied to your site and are either offered a placement or waitlisted. If there are people that you need differing access for example, if you need someone to have a view-only access instead of an ability to edit, if there are pages that you want more people to have access to without necessarily the ability to, for example, add new applicants, we will be offering an opportunity for that. In the next couple of weeks, we'll have a form for you to fill out. Each one of those will have to be customized to a site. In order to get up and running, we wanted to make sure that everyone had initial access to the whole system. So please, that's why we've sent it to only the primary person. Please use your discretion as you go through and add other people, and know that if there are other people you need to have partial access, we'll be able to do that in the upcoming weeks. So that is the update on that. I wanted to make sure they're reaching out to current applicants. For all of you who did have applications for your site during the initial early bird application process, you will see those people listed on the application, applicant list component of the system. Again, Frank will walk through that live in a minute so you can see that, but wanted to just to make sure we were reaffirming what should happen with those folks. The current applicants, when we released to them that they had if they had a status of offered in your site list, those are people who got an announcement saying they had a preliminary offer to your site and that they should reach out to have more, to be able to continue to in the process with you directly. And so for those people, they were told they have until July 5th to reach out to you. That can be extended, and again, Frank will walk through that process in a moment if anyone needs to extend the time, but we do encourage you to reach out to those people. Let's ask if they do plan to attend, let them know what the next steps are from your end in order to register them, to verify their application information that got submitted to you and moving that forward. So please reach out to them. If they have a wait list status in your site, you are able to override them. Anyone who applied to your site who did not meet the eligibility criteria that you set forth for us was waitlisted. So if you feel like that is someone reading through their application that you would like to be able to accept, then you can override that. However, remembering that that will send, if you just put the, and Frank will walk through in a second what you do to override that, but keep in mind if you override that, they are sent a preliminary placement. So it may be a good idea if you think that the information in their application is something you'd like to reach out to them. You may want to reach out to that family first and talk through some of the information before accepting them to your site so that you have some communication with them before they receive that email from us, from the system saying that they have a preliminary placement. But again, we'll walk through the how on that, but just wanted to highlight that part. We will be sending all of this out in a manual to you, hopefully tomorrow, but it may be Friday or Tuesday before you get it. So we will be putting all of this in writing just for your knowledge. If there are new students that you know are entering your program, that can mean either someone who has come to you to apply since you submitted the information on how many open slots you have, or children who are in your program as 2-year-olds who are intending to transition to your preschool program next year. Please take this opportunity this week to actually put those students into the system, making sure everything lines up right, that they are actually able to be accepted into your system based on the allocation criteria that you submitted to us. If you have any issues with that allocation criteria, or if you have any issues understanding what someone in your site that you are trying to accept in your site, you can't get through the system, please call the number on the screen, 312-744-9322, and they can help you with individual applicants to your site that you're trying to work through. Victor and Craig are not able to help you with that part. They're able to help you with user logins. So just to be clear that that's the number you want to call, and that will be ongoing throughout the process. If there are any issues with those new students that you want to be able to call that number, the parent can also call that number and help with registering those students. I also wanted to highlight the couple other upcoming opportunities that we will have to walk through this. We will tomorrow have an in-person orientation session, as well as have staff on site who can help with any user login issues that you may have that you would like to work through with someone, or if we're having trouble answering those questions over the phone. So tomorrow at Coleman, the information went out yesterday afternoon as well, but tomorrow from 3 to 5 p.m. at the Coleman gym, if you come there, if you are on today, the information will not be different than the information you're receiving today. It's just an opportunity if you wanted to talk through more of the nuances of your site, we will be there in person. And then you had a link to sign up next Wednesday, July 6th, and the following Wednesday, July 13th. we have a sign up for an hour-and-a-half long sessions in our computer lab at DFSS. We will have trainers and resources there for you to be able to work through issues that you're having and get more in-depth personalized training on the computer. So those are 2 upcoming days. We have sessions throughout the day. If those fill up, we'll be happy to open up more, or if you're having issues, there'll be more over the summer, but we at least wanted to offer these 2 as an initial point. We do want to also highlight that that students we will be opening the application up to families again on Friday, July 1st. And so you will be able to see the parent-facing application on chicagoearlylearning.org starting Friday, July 1st. We'll start in-depth outreach the following week, and so please take that opportunity to go through, make sure you're familiar with it and understand if there are any questions you have, please feel free to reach out. In addition to, we do want you to have the ability to do additional outreach as well, and so we do have a marketing campaign that you will be getting materials for starting Friday as well, and then you can distribute to all of your networks and do the outreach you always would with the same, with the chicagoearlylearning.org website. In addition, starting next week, we will, when the family application launches, we will have a role called an application assistant. And so those folks will all be people that we work with who will have access to our system to be able to help parents enter in their application. You'll be getting more information on that, exactly what that is. They will only be able to work with and see families that they work with directly. They won't have access to everyone's site. But if there are outreach organizations that you work with that you think would really be good, we encourage you to send the information on to them as well. Those will be people, they'll come to a short training about how the system works and then be able to apply for a login to be able to support families through this process. So a lot of those organizations you may work with who do outreach with certain populations, are interacting with families a lot, might be really at least to have the orientation training so they know what is happening and may even want to be able to have login access that they can help families through the process and make sure they're getting to you and not just being entered. So that will be upcoming next week. You'll see more of that. For right now, I think that those are the big questions that have been coming up. Again, there'll be some more detailed policy guidance coming out to you in the next few days that will walk through exactly why a family may have been stopped through the process. All of those alerts should show up to you and give you directions on what to do from there. And so if there are any questions at all, you can feel free to write them, either raise your hand on the right-hand side of your screen or write them in the box on the lower right-hand side of your screen. And in the meantime, I'm going to turn it over to Frank, who will walk through the system itself and leave some time for questions that you guys may have along the way.
All right, thank you, Sam. I'm going to go ahead and begin with the Early Learning Enterprise Case Management Training. All right, so we call this EL-ECM, or just ECM for short. This is Enterprise Case Management Technology. It's been in place across the city for many years. This is the early learning version of the system. What I want to do is go through the basic user training. I'm going to keep it brief for the webinar because we do have in-person training sessions as well. So I just want to go over the basics of how the ECM platform works. I want to look at a few scenarios, and then we're going to stop and take questions as we go through each of them. I want to talk about existing accounts and applications that are already in the system, which if you're logging in, you should be able to find. I want to talk about creating new accounts and applications, which you can start doing on July 1st. I want to talk about verification. So an application is already in, and somebody already has a place at your organization. How do you verify income and check off that it was verified and submit final confirmation for the application. Then we're going to look at the applicant list. This is where you actually browse the list of all the preschool applications at your site and the various statuses. And then finally, request new access, which shows you how to create new user accounts for your staff.
And sorry, Frank, one clarification. For you on the phone, you actually are, for community-based organizations, able to enter new applicants now, and we do encourage you to do that before July 1st, before it opens up to the public. If you know you have people who are planning to attend, to go ahead and work through that now. So just that you won't be able to do it on the public-facing site, you'll see, until after July 1st, but on the access you each have at your organization, you can do some of those now. Sorry for the clarification.
Okay, that's good news. So I'll make sure you know how to create new applications as well today. So before July 1st, I just want to talk about where applications were coming from. We had the early bird form, and that closed on June 13th. So that's the source of thousands of applications right now that are in the system. And then starting on July 1st, parents are going to start using the Exchange site, which is a little more advanced than just the early bird form. They can actually log in and create applications with this website as well. So applications are going to be coming in that way, and then of course you'll be able to create applications yourselves. So that's really 3 ways the applications can originate. So with the Early Learning Enterprise Case Management System, I just want to point out Internet Explorer is not supported. So make sure that you use Google Chrome or another browser. This is what I want to cover. So number 1, household profile. 2, application. 3, the applicant list. And then 4, request new access. So when you log in, these are the pages that you should see. So 2 of those pages, I want to quickly give you an overview on these, household profile and application. There's some similar information on these tabs or in these different pages, and I want to explain the difference between these 2 pages. So with the household profile, this is parent-owned. So we mentioned that parents can log into a website, enter their income, enter their household members. That's something that they're going to be able to continually update. So if it goes on the application, we're not going to let parents continue to modify their applications after they've already submitted them. So that's why we have a household profile. So the parent basically will create a profile. It does include household members and income, and that is copied over to the application when the application is created. So the application is city-owned, so the parents can't edit it after they submit it. So therefore, it does include household members and income from the profile, but the application cannot be edited by a parent. It's something that you can edit, however. This is the application page is where you go to verify income. It's where you go to see the site selections and submit the application, or see that the application was already submitted. And then finally, you can do the final verification on the application page as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate in the system, and I'm actually going to use a UAT environment because I don't want to expose any student data on the webinar. So I'm going to go ahead and log into UAT and show you what the system looks like and walk through some of the pages. And we're going to cover all 4 of these pages. Okay, so this is where you log in once you get to the website. And you have actually been emailed, or you should receive an email with the actual URL for this website. What I'm using right now is not the URL that you're going to go to. This is just the training website, as I mentioned. Something I want to point out, for those of you, so we received a spreadsheet with people's initial access and who's a contact for which organization. In some cases, we might have seen that somebody was a contact for more than one organization. So we might have had to put you in multiple user groups, and those are going to identify which location you're logging into. So you can actually choose it when you log in. In this case, I'm going to choose this AS1 agency and click Start. Okay, so I'm on the home page. I just want to point out the menu right here. If you zoom in, you might see it disappear, which is fine. So I'm going to zoom in just so you can see better. If the menu goes away, you can always find it in the top left-hand corner. You can use any device for this as well. I mentioned that you shouldn't use Internet Explorer, which is true, but you can also use your phone, or you can use a Mac, you can use a tablet, whatever device you want to use. First thing I'm going to do, and this is a likely scenario, somebody comes in or you are working with a particular application or you're looking for an application, how to search. So I'm just going to search for a last name, and I can type it in, click search. In this case, if you find the person that you're looking for, there is some contact information that helps you identify that this is the correct parent or child, and then click select. And then from here, I just want to walk you through the tabs. So I'm going to back up a little bit. So I'm on the household profile, and what I have here is the account tab. This is the account that the parent uses to log into the Exchange website. So you don't really need to do anything with this. If the parent has already created their account, and they either did it through the early bird form or they did it through the website, you're going to see what their account is right here. You're not going to have access to change their PIN number. That's something that the call center is going to do. The 312-744 number, parents will be able to call there, set up a PIN number, and that's not something that you'll have to do. So I'm just viewing the account. I can see who the account owner is, which is usually the parent that filled out the application, and I can see how they log into their own account. What I want to do next is check out the permissions. So I'm still on the household profile page, go to permissions. I can find out, does my agency even have access to this application? If you don't, then there will be an area for you to put in the parent's PIN number. So if the parent set up a PIN number with the call center, you'd be able to put in that PIN number and allow access to this application. In addition, you could set yourself as the editor to the application by selecting your group and clicking Set as Editor. So this is not something that you're typically going to have to do, because if somebody applied to your organization, you will be able to see their application. So on the odd chance that somebody walks in, they filled out an application, but they did not apply to your site, then you need to go to permissions. And if you have any trouble at all with permissions, you just call the call center, 312-744, and whatever those last four numbers are, we have it on the first slide in this presentation. So that is where you're going to get your permissions issues figured out, by calling the call center. So I'm going to move on and assume we already have access to this application. I can see their contact information in the contacts area. If I click on household members, I can see the household members. In this case, I have one parent, one child. If I click on income, I can see the income. So all of this is on the profile. And what I want to show you now is the application. If I click on application, and remember earlier I said this household profile, that can be edited by the parent. These household members could change, the income could change, but the parent cannot edit the application. So if you need to make edits to an application, you're going to go to the application page, which also does include the household members and the income. So what I like to do, if you search for somebody that's come in or somebody that you're working with, you want to look on the application page and see if they even have an application. If they don't, you're not going to see anything here in this row. But this person does have an application, and they have an application ID. This is an important number to reference. It's an important number to give to the parent, and also an important number to have when you call into the call center. So that's where you find the application ID. That's how you know that there is an application. And if there was more than one application for twins or two preschool-age children, you'd see those here too. All right, so you can see the household members are also on the application. This is an important field that you don't want to have missing here, family size. So make sure that you do have a family size. You don't have to have all the family members in the household, but we do want to know the full family size because that helps calculate the poverty rate. All right, so if you do make any changes, you can go ahead and click Save. Now, if you're missing required fields, you're going to get a warning. So in this case, we never even got the gender, date of birth of the parent. So make sure that you have all the required fields as well. Okay, so I saved the family size. I'm going to go into income. So if you're working with an existing application, this is where you can check off that you verified the income. Now in this case, they didn't declare any income, but that's something that you can verify as well. So go ahead and save after you check off that you verified the income.
And I wanted to interrupt here and also clarify for those of you on the phone, the income verification process, whether that is no income or verifying that they are making the income they reported in the application, should be consistent with what you have done in the past. This will give you, we would like you to fix whatever might be needing to be adjusted in what they reported, but that staff verified or verified no income is based on whatever process you have used at your agency in the past to verify income before submitting as a Head Start or Preschool for All child.
Okay, thanks, Sam. So that's the income tab. So the income tab on the application does allow you to check off that you verified. Eligibility, this is important. This allows you to check off the risk factors, complete the language survey, and then add any additional info. And this is for the child. And
this also maps to those factors that you gave us as priority for points at your site. So each of these is linked to those items that you verified or you gave us points to weight children applying to your site accordingly.
Okay, so now what you want to know is what's the site selection. And in this case, this particular student applied to the main location. So I can see that here. I can also see the current status of the application. In this case, it's offered. We're going to go through the application statuses in a little bit and talk about the different stages that they could potentially be in. But it's going to be offered, which means that they actually have a seat or a placement. And then accepted means they actually accepted and they are planning to attend. And then we have confirmed, which means they actually came in and verified documents. And then finally enroll, which you can click on when they actually arrive at preschool. So in order to do those next two steps that I mentioned, we have a placement, we have it status is offered. There's a verification tab where you can accept the placement, and then finally where you can submit confirmation after you check off all the items. So we're in the UAT environment. These questions actually look different in production. So you'll check off whatever is here, and then you can go ahead and submit confirmation. So that's just an overview of an application that already exists. If the application doesn't exist, then you have to create it. So I'm going to walk you through that next, but before I do that, I think we can break for some questions.
Yeah.
Because you probably, for those of you who have logged in, you might already be using these pages. So let's go ahead and take your questions about managing the applications. What I still haven't showed you and what I will is create an application from scratch all the way through. And then finally, managing your applicant list after you have a list of preschoolers that apply to your site. And then we'll end with requesting new access. So let's break for questions real quick.
Yeah. So let's grab a couple of them here. Let's go back to the top. Will we be able to have access to this PowerPoint?
Yes, we will send a link to the recorded webinar, and if you would like the PowerPoint itself, we can also send that out with this afterwards.
How many people man the help desk call center?
We have 6 people on call at a time at that call center, and then we have ability to have backup if needed. I think one key point is that call center helpline is really for you or for parents who have already submitted an application. Anyone looking to submit a new application should call the Action for Children Chicago Early Learning hotline, and they can help them do an application over the phone. But for those who've already submitted one, or for you who need some help with specific applicants, that's where that helpline number we gave. So it's a much more targeted helpline.
If a parent applies with us at the school, how do we get the PIN from the parent?
At this point, until a parent sets up their own account, they won't have a PIN. They can call the call center at any point to get that. However, once the parent has set up their own account starting on Friday where they can go in, they'll be asked to set up a PIN, and then you will just ask the parent for that PIN in order to provide access to your account.
Will the PIN be sent to the parent's email?
Yes, if the parent forgets their password or PIN at any point, they can call the call center, and there will be they will need their application number in order to do that, or it will be submitted to them via email and text and either way that they ask for it.
Does the accepted application suffice as consent by the parent for their child to participate in the Preschool for All program?
I believe that yes, that is true, but I also want to double check with Sue and Rima and ensure that there is not any additional information they need. However, this system this year will mean that you don't need to bring folders for enrollment into the Preschool for All program to CPS. So yes, it counts for all of those steps in the process.
I don't see Rima or Sue here.
I think Miriam and Yannette are on there.
Okay, so let's go to the next one. Is it absolutely necessary to modify the application to match what the parent can verify with the site, which is part of our process?
I think the question is asking if you are going to the information on income. Is it necessary for you to input the corrected income into the application? Yes, we do ask that you do that. That will allow us to make sure that we are allocating that child to the right slot that you had given us in terms of needing certain criteria met. If you don't do that, then we may not have the correct slots left open for new parents to apply for. Plus, this will help us make sure that we are targeting our resources accordingly as we go forward in future years.
What happens if a parent changes his or her mind after selecting your site and the application has been submitted?
If a parent changes their mind after selecting the site, if they are changing their mind with you, then you at any point can press the decline button on the application, on the applicant list page that you'll see in a second, and Frank will walk through that. However, if they have changed their mind and you don't talk to them, they can also call the call center, the helpline, and they can help them unlock the application and choose a new site. So either you can do that through the decline button, or a parent can do that themselves by calling the applicant helpline.
How can we give access to other staff?
We will go through in a moment, but you'll see on the left-hand side of the page where it says Request New Access. That's where you will do that, and Frank will walk through the step-by-step in a moment.
How do parents receive their PIN if the site creates the application?
The PIN is associated with a profile page. So if they did it during the early bird process, or you are doing it with them, you will help them set up that PIN. So you'll need to be doing that with the parent. I will say we recommend that you choose 4 digits that are easy for the parent to remember. So for example, birthday or something along those lines that you can help the parent make sure that they remember. You can add even when they're setting up a new application.
Can you explain why the total capacity showing in the system appears different than the slots we have open?
Sorry, can you explain why the total capacity showing in the system appears differently than the slots we have open? This is based on the information you gave us. If there is an issue with that, we are correcting some of the dashboard counting tonight. It should be fixed by tomorrow. If after tomorrow you are still having issues with this, please call the helpline and they can help track that issue for you. And we'll look into it deeper.
Do the sites
if you are using this information, this site to apply for children, then you will not have to have the CPS folders. And Rima and Sue will send out more information about that as we get into the summer.
How do we verify a parent that has no income?
Okay, this is something that hasn't changed with the new system. We need to have documentation on file, especially for Head Start applications that document how we verify that they're eligible for the program. So if they have no income at all, they need to write you something in their own handwriting, just a signed statement that says they don't receive income. It's useful to kind of document about how that is, like I still live with my mom, or whatever the circumstances. There might be a number of different circumstances. Like to document that, and you'll need to keep a copy of that on file to agree with your other verification documentation with your HSEB that shows that you verified they had no income. So this is also a case where you could do third-party verification if they're living with someone or something like that. So there's a number of ways you can do that. The important thing is that you've got it on file in your eligibility folders.
So if you are Head Start funded, that is the same process as you have always gone through for Head Start. That has not changed. If you are not Head Start funded, then you want to still have some sort of something in writing that has verified the income in accordance with any policies that you have in place for your Preschool for All funding.
I tried using chicagoearlylearning.org and tried to apply. However, there is no application available, just a page saying that applications will be uploaded June 20th. Why is this?
So it's actually that the date was moved to July 1st. We have had some technical glitches, and as we've been rolling it out, we wanted to make sure everything was functioning before we rolled out to parents. So the parent one will roll out on Friday, July 1st. But right now, the only new applications can be done through your own access to we're walking through now.
A parent has already contacted our site thinking that they are on the wait list and they are asking for next steps. When we informed the parent of the verification process, which is our next steps, they were upset because they thought they were on the site's true wait list. Is there any material we can email to the parent explaining this new process, or a website we can refer them to?
So there will be FAQs on the website, but they are on, what the messaging we have is they are on a wait list due to either capacity or eligibility reasons. We have not verified the eligibility through this. We're basing it on a self-report, so you still need to work with them to do the verification. All documents that have been sent to parents, and we can have those available for you, do say that there will be a verification process.
When children are in the ECM system, will they be inputted into COPA, or do we need to add them into COPA?
So we will have them in COPA. There's a little bit of a lag to let you know now, so if there's an issue that you need a child inputted right this second into COPA, you talk to Craig and he can talk you through the need to do that right now versus waiting. Everyone who's been in the system will be uploaded as a batch upload into COPA in the next week or week and a half, and then we will have a regular process where every new applicant is a record is open for them in COPA in the recruitment module. We'll keep you updated about that in the next week as that gets functioning. In the process, if there, as I said, if there are any emergency people that you need in COPA right now, that you'll do that manually and talk to Craig about the efficacy of that.
I think we answered that one already. For clarification, the system works in conjunction with COPA, so information placed here will transfer into COPA. Can you please clarify that?
As soon as we have the process up and running, all of the information in this system will be uploaded directly into COPA, so there won't be any duplicate entry needed.
Okay, if we do not have COPA, how are we supposed to verify the income for the family?
Yep, this would happen the way you always had done it through the Preschool for All, of just ensuring that you have met the verification policy set at your site.
For my 3-year students who are currently enrolled at my center and in the CPS Community Partner Pre-K program, who are moving to pre-K in the fall, can I create applications for them, or do I have to have their parent with me to enter them in the system?
No, you can enter them now into the system. There may be some information that you don't have to enter them in the system that you'll need to get from the parent, but that would be based on what information you keep on file for the child. So you should be entering those into the system starting now so that you can make sure that everything is functioning for you appropriately. But this only goes for new students. Students currently enrolled in your preschool who are returning for a second year will not need to be inputted.
For the children who are enrolled in our program now and will be returning in the fall, are we supposed to collect new income information, or can we use the information from the original folder?
Yeah, if you're enrolling a child into a Head Start program, their eligibility status is good for 2 years. They don't need to have a new determination of eligibility for this year. That's one of the reasons why, if you have a returning child, you don't need to put them into this system. When we asked before bringing this online about how many open slots and space you had for new children, we are assuming that you're not counting children who are returning in that number as vacancies. So you'll have to talk to us about adjusting that if you count it as vacancy slots that you're going to fill with kids that are already in the program. But the idea is this is for new kids to fill the spots that are vacated by the kids that are going on to kindergarten, and returning children don't need to be entered at this point.
Yep.
All right, thank you everybody for the questions. I'm going to do 3 more demos now. The next demonstration, putting an application into the system. We've already looked at all of these tabs, so the short answer for how you do this is you've got 2 pages here, household profile and application. Start at page 1, which is the profile, go through every tab. Then go to page 2, go through every tab. So I'm going to do that right now, just show you real quickly how you create new applications. You start with an account. So this associates the application with an account owner, who's the parent. So I'm going to go ahead and create that real quick. All right, a first name and a last name, and then you'll just put in an email or a mobile number. This is what they can turn around. Go to chicagoearlylearning.org. When it's time to log in, they can put in this email, they can reset their password, and they can get in and view everything on their end as well. Okay, so I'm going to sign up a new parent, and then that's it. So I've created the new parent account, and I can see there now the account owner in the top right-hand corner. I don't need to do anything with permissions because I created this account myself, I'm going to have access immediately. So no need to request any access. What we need to do now is just fill out the profile. All right, so I'm just going to fill out the profile real quick. Required fields are in red. Okay, a couple things on the contacts field. If you want to put in a different mailing address, you can do that. If this is a temporary living situation, living in a shelter, sharing a house with another family, kind of a catch-all for this is not their permanent home address, you can always check that too. You want to make sure that you have contact information in here, of course. And then finally, the most important thing here is to make sure they have a contact preference. If the system is going to send them information, this is where it's going to go to. So you would want to choose email or text. This implies a landline phone. That's kind of a last resort. If you want to get system notifications, it's going to have to be email or text. So I'm going with email, then I can save. Now I'm going to add household members. So I've already got a parent. I'll go ahead and click Add Member if I need to add the child. So CBO child. put in a date of birth. It is going to reference these dates of birth to see if you can create an application. It's got to be 3 or 4 by 9/1/2016. And you can go ahead and save. Now, there's a lot more required fields when you're filling out an application. Race, ethnicity. So when you're in the application, you'll see what's required. So I'm just trying to keep this brief for a demo. I'm going to go on to income now. And I'll also point out, when you add members, if you want to add a spouse if they earn income. You want to add additional children if they're going to be applying to preschool. But you don't need to fill this up with every single member of the household. That's why we allow you to collect the family size, which we'll do on the application. So I'm going to go to income. You can either declare no. And by the way, you do this by household members, so make sure that you're on a parent here and not a child. So this is the parent. You can either declare no income or you can put in some income, which I'll do. And that is optional. So I'm going to go ahead and save from here. All right, so what I just did was create a profile. I did that for the parent. Now, if the parent already logged in and did it themselves, that's fine. It's their profile to manage. What I want to do now is actually create them an application. So I'm going to go to the application page. So like I said, page 1, every tab, page 2, every tab. So now we're creating an application. So in this case, what I want to do is I need to create the application for the child, not the parent. It will check the birthday to make sure that you're creating an application for a child. Click Start Application, and now I've created the application. So this is the important number here, the application ID. I've got an application for this child. What happened when I did that? It took the household members and the income from the profile. So this is a one-time grab of data. It's not, if you update information here, it's not going back to the profile. If you accidentally update some information on the profile instead of the application, it's not going to show up on the application. So you're managing 2 different things here at this point. So on the application, I have grabbed a snapshot of the household members and the income, as you can see. So an important thing that was missing earlier is the family size. So we need that on the application as well. That's going to save you from having to enter the whole family. So I'm going to click Save. Now I've got a family size. On the Income tab, we showed you the extra fields here, which are basically a place to verify. So when the time comes and when you can verify, go ahead and verify. If you can't verify, that's okay. We're trying to get an application in. We're trying to get a placement for this child. We don't need to verify income at this stage. This ultimately is the tab where you do it, though. All right, I'm going to go to eligibility. This determines your score and which sites you can be placed in. I'm just going to check off some for example. And I'm going to go ahead and click Save. So of course, when you're doing a real application, you need to go through these with the parent and make sure whichever of these apply, you check off. Now I'm going to go to site selection. So this is where you can search for sites by name, or if you just click the search button, you're going to see every site that's available. Right, so what you do is choose a site and check its availability. So there's a check availability button. It tells me instantly whether or not I'm going to get a placement or whether or not I'm going to get a wait list. And if you read all of the instructions, you'll see that basically you're allowed 1 placement and 1 wait list. You can't be on 2 wait lists. You can't place at 2 different places. The final thing that you need to enter is just a site preference of the parent, whether they prefer full day, half day, even if that's not necessarily what they're going to get. This is just capturing their preference. So in order to add this placement, I've selected it. You can see it in blue. Just click the arrow and add it. So I added a placement, repeat for the wait list. So this is ideally what you want to do. Get them 1 placement, 1 wait list. So now that I've done that, I can click Submit. And the application is submitted and the status is offered. So that's the application process. Now we have an application in. For the parents that did the early bird, this is where they ended up at. What's next is verification. So now I want to take you through the 4 steps: offered, accepted, confirmed, and enrolled. So we're offered right now. At this point, you want to make sure the income is verified. So I've verified the income in this case. Now I can go to the verification tab. And then here's where I can accept the placement on behalf of the parent when they want to accept. And then this, you can see the income validation. This is just an extra check. Are you sure that you validated the income? If you didn't, you're not going to see a yes here. So check that off. Check off anything else that's required. And in this case, the things that you won't see are the next two, the language survey and the family member. This is going to be removed, so you don't even need to check these off. And then you should be able to submit confirmation. So once you've confirmed somebody, that means they can go to the program. It'll stamp it with your username and the confirmed date. So that's all we can do with this application. They're in, they're confirmed. Now I want to show you the applicant list. So I'll go ahead.
Can I just interrupt? Well, yeah, and can you go down the bottom of the page? I just want to clarify STLS requirements met. STLS is students in temporary living situations. If you have a child who is homeless or doubled up or living in a temporary shelter or something along those lines, they do not need to verify residency with you, but they do need to have some sort of documentation that that is what is happening. So that is, if you cannot verify residency, but they have somehow they have checked on their application that they are in temporary living situation, you would verify there that is accurate by asking them those questions and working with them.
Okay, so the applicant list is there's only a few things that you can do on it, so I'm going to cover that too, and then we'll take more questions. So the applicant list is where everybody ends up, whether you're waitlisted, you're offered, you're enrolled, you're going to be on this list. So something I want to point out, for those of you who just work at one location, it'll just be defaulted to that location. Now, if any of you are an agency admin, which means the spreadsheet told us that you're the contact for every single location in that organization, that could be possible too. If you're an admin, you'll actually be able to browse the different sites. So in this case, I'm going to look at this main location, which is just a generic name for a school or a preschool program. What I'm going to show you here is the filter. So show me only. I'm going to start with offered. So offered means they actually submitted their applications and they have a place. When I go to accepted, that's going to show me the children that have accepted. And then finally I can go to confirmed. So with these other two stages, there's a few options. If somebody's sitting in here and they're offered, remember that expiration date. So this is the training environment. It's we were using this a while ago, so the expiration date isn't bumped up to where it should be. You can always, if somebody's offered and they haven't come in to verify yet or confirm or even accept yet, you can always bump up the date if you want. So this is where you change somebody's date. So give them until July 6th. So this is where you can manage your expiration dates. Right, so that's something that you can do. For anybody in this list, you can also go look at their information. You can accept for them. So this is just another place to click accept. So you can, instead of looking up each application individually, you can bring up all the students that have an offer, and if one of them calls in and accepts, or you happen to know they accept, you can always do that for them. So I'm going to take a student right here, click accept, right? And then at this point, there's always going to be that decline option. So another student shows up or decides that they're not going to be going to the program after all. This is where you click decline. So, and you can see the student information here just to confirm you're on the right student, and then click decline.
So a couple of policy points on this that might be helpful to make. For the accepted students, children will be, or families will be offered a place if they meet the criteria you sent us and are applying to your site. That offered corresponds with the letter they received saying that you've been offered a preliminary placement. You want to then reach out to those families if you haven't already talked to them. And have a conversation with them about your next steps, what needs to be done in order to verify the information that they self-reported. If you talk to a family and they have said, yes, I'm interested and I'll come in, that's when you want to put that accepted. It means that there has been some affirmation from the parent that they are continuing to be interested in this program in a spot at your school. That way, after they have accepted, they need to move to that level before then verifying. Once they are verifying, then they go, once all of their information that they self-reported is verified and you are able to accept them into your program, and you press verify, then they turn to confirmed. And so that is important just to understand what you are doing at each one of those stages and what needs to happen from your standpoint before moving them on to the next stage. At any point, as you said, if a family changes their mind and does not want to, you go to decline placement, and it will go. It'll automatically open their application that they can go in and choose another placement. If there are people here on your wait list and you are looking and going through your wait list, you see these folks, you've looked up their application and understood that you actually do want to be able to offer them a space. Again, we encourage you to reach out to them before providing an offer so that you don't take them off guard. But we would encourage you to reach out to those in your wait list you do think you'd be able to, and then, as Frank just said, be able to override the wait list option by pressing provide offer. Then they will get an email that says, thank you very much, you've been offered a preliminary placement, and you will go through that family verifying, confirming, and then enrolling as you would any other family.
Okay, so what I wanted to show you is where our application ended up. Remember CBO Child that I created? So they've got this expiration date to come in. They are confirmed because we did check off all the confirmation stuff on the verification tab. And now we can enroll. So that's the final step. So for anybody who's confirmed, you can go ahead and enroll them. So I went ahead and enrolled this child. If I want to see everybody that's enrolled, I'll go ahead and bring up that list as well.
And the enrolled, to Frank's point, once they're confirmed and verified, that's where you'd want to go through your regular registration process with the families, whatever that consists of, for your specific site, and then enroll them when they are finished that and showing up. You're confident they're going to show up in the first day. That will help us track the effectiveness of our application in leading to enrollment, and as well as be able to make some critical decisions moving forward about where we need additional support.
Okay, so I'm just going to knock out the last demo, and then we'll take questions for the rest of the time. Request new access. So this is a page that you're going to have access to as well. So for the staff that you want to give access to, you'll have to put in their name. So their first name, their last name, and the security role is going to be set for you, and then go ahead and put in their phone number and their email. Okay, so this is a UAT site. It's not really going to work, I don't believe. It works in the real site. Basically what you do is you click submit, and then it tells you, hey, it did work. Okay, so the username. This is the most important step here. If you're going to create somebody's user account, you have to tell them their username. They're not going to get an email that tells them the username. You have to tell them the username. So you click submit. You see the pop-up. This is their username, so be sure and write it down. Now, it's not lost forever if you forget. You're just calling into the call center, or Victor or Craig, who are helping you guys manage user access. And at that point, they can look it up for you. But ideally, you give the user their username, and you can see it right here. It's called, in this case, AS1T name. So it kind of takes the first initial of the first name, combines it with the last name, and then you have a unique organization code. So that's what the username is going to look like. And they've been registered. So what can they do now? They just go to the website, put in their email, and click reset password. That's going to allow them to create their own password and then log in. So that's username. Yeah. So that's why I mentioned put all that emphasis on they need to know what the username is. So the next step, yeah, they do go to the website. They're going to put in the email to reset their password. But when it comes time to log in, now they're going to have a password, and they need to know their username as well.
Frank, can you go through the security roles with them?
It's preset.
They don't have any control over that. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
every agency is preset, as I said, meaning only having the access that Frank just walked you through right here. So once you provide someone new access, they will have the full access that Frank just walked through. If at any point you need them, in the next couple of weeks, if there are people you would like to cater different access to, we will be able to customize per agency what you need, and we'll be sending out more information about that as we're able to get to that point.
All right. So once your user is logged in, they should be good. They should see the site that they need to see. If they don't, again, Victor and Craig can help with that.
How do they know which site they just requested new access for?
So whatever site you're logged in under is the site that the person is going to get.
Okay.
So when you log in and you decide between a couple of different locations, the location that you choose will also be assigned to any new users that you create. But that can always be tweaked if you call in for user permission help. So it's almost fully self-service, but there might be some things that need to be tweaked.
Right.
So that's it for the technology demos. We're going to spend the rest of the time answering questions.
To clarify, so if I have early Head Start children that will be transferring or transitioning to Head Start, do they need to be entered into ECM?
Yes. They do need to be entered into ECM, and just as the process has always been, you will need to re-verify the eligibility of those students. So we do encourage you, if you know families are transitioning from your early Head Start to your Head Start program or your 2-year-old program to your preschool program, please do start entering those families in as soon as you can. That way, if you run into any issues, we're able to help you, but also that if you know that those families are coming, then we are getting them in before new families start applying to the site.
For our 2-year transitioning children to preschool, do the parents have to create a profile on their own or at any of the mentioned locations?
Nope, you can do that for the parent. What Frank just walked through, you can do on your access. So you can help the parent set up. You may need, again, if you don't have all this information on the family, you may need to ask the family for additional information, but you are able to do that on behalf of the parent.
The options of offered, accepted, confirmed, can that be explained again?
Absolutely. And we'll put this in writing to you as well. But while I'm answering, Frank is going to click to that component so that we can make sure that you see that. Offered. Offered is for any family that has an application that met the eligibility criteria that you set forth for us. They will be offered a placement when they submit. So they will get a letter that says you have been offered a preliminary placement. For any family that has been offered that then you have spoken to and they have confirmed they are interested in your site, you will press accept for that family. And for that family that you are accepting, yeah.
Oh, I'm on the wrong side.
Yeah, I was going to say. When you go through and accept that family, that will change them to accepted from there. Then once you accept the family and verify their income, once everything from their self-report is verified, then you'll submit the verification and they will become confirmed. That they actually have confirmed that all of their information that has been self-reported has panned out in the documents that they provided, and that will confirm their status. And then finally, once from that confirmation page, once you have registered the family, been able to get the medical and the medical and dental information and any other information you normally do during your registration process, then you'll be able to put in the status of enrolled. And the enrolled is confirming that they actually verified their information and then actually showed up for school, or at least were prepared to show up for school. We'll put this all in writing, but just to confirm also for the wait list, if you have a waitlisted family, you are able to override that wait list by the link at the bottom of the page that says provide offer. And for any family along the way who changes their mind, you are able to put decline offer, and that will open up the space again.
Great. Can a new user have access to multiple sites with the same username, or do they have to have 2 username accounts?
Yes, a user can have access to multiple sites, and some of you might as well. So when I logged in, I actually had to choose my group, and the group is a combination of an organization and a location. So if I work at, agency A, and then I'm at location B, when I log in, and if I should happen to have more than one site, then I would have to choose which site I'm going to log into.
If we have a new family at school with us, can we apply with them on our admin account, or should the family apply on the general site?
I would suggest that you help them through on the admin account. That way we can track that you actually helped that family fill it out and they didn't come from the outside.
I'm having trouble with the decline placement reason drop-down box. I don't see any options when I click the arrow. Is this a glitch, or am I doing something wrong?
For now, so I'm going to look into that, and we can always create a ticket if that is an issue. For now, you should be able to at least type something into the reason drop-down box. So that's what I would recommend until we can get it fixed.
When do we start enrolling kids this way, and do we still enroll using the paper applications?
So you will start enrolling kids that way now. You please go ahead and start enrolling kids that way. The paper applications, if you're talking about the CPS paper application, this will replace the folders this year. This does have all the information we need. If you're talking about the paper application you use at your own site for your own information, that is an organizational decision that we're happy to help you think through if there are any questions on that. For Head Start, you will still use COPA for the enrollment process, and as we said, that will be integrated into this, so there won't be any duplicate entry needed from your staff.
Can you please clarify the income guidelines for Preschool for All? We are anticipating some families may qualify for CCAP at 185% of the poverty line. However, they may not qualify for the community partnership funding.
Community partnership funding should be, if you qualify for CCAP, you should automatically qualify for the community partnership funding unless you don't live in the city. That would be the only complications there. If you have questions about individual children or situations, please do contact the helpline, and we can make a ticket and help make sure that we're getting the answers to your question. I do want to clarify, though, that the poverty guidelines for childcare is now at 162% of FPL, and so that is the number we're working with in this iteration.
So if my center's internal enrollment process has several further steps for families to prove they're eligible to enroll at my specific center, which involves paperwork other than this application, can I wait to confirm until after they have completed those steps and been approved internally?
Yes. If you have additional steps that you need for them to fill out in order to officially confirm them, you would wait until all of those steps were taken before confirming that family.
So we do need to make an application for our current students transitioning into Head Start or preschool program.
You do need to make an application for your current students that are transitioning into your program, for your preschool program. For students that are currently in your preschool program and coming back for a second year, you do not have to do another application for them. We've already included their count, and they do not need to have they do not need to verify eligibility again.
If I have multiple locations, but only one location is listed in my drop-down for site location, what should I do?
Please call Victor or Craig or Miriam or Yannette, and they will be able to help you. Sorry, email Victor or Craig or call Miriam or Yannette, and they'll be able to help you make sure you get everything you need.
To clarify, children transitioning from our early Head Start to our Head Start program, must we verify their income? If they are no longer eligible, do we submit a drop form?
Yeah, that's not a change. Your eligibility verification for early Head Start was never good for Head Start. Once they transition into the new program, it needs to be verified again.
So do they submit a drop form? I don't know. We don't know what a drop form is.
Honestly.
Yeah, we can't. You just won't be able to enroll them into Head Start.
Yeah. You only drop them if they're leaving the program in the middle.
For early Head Start, the eligibility we were told is for 3 years for the new year. Do they need to be enrolled once again?
This process does not touch early Head Start. So for early Head Start, they do have 3-year eligibility, but this process will only do preschool this year. We will deal with early Head Start next year.
That's right.
Child that was early 3 and is returning for a 3rd year in Head Start, are they to be inputted in the system?
They don't need to be input into this system. Again, they were in Head Start last year and they're returning this year. If they're, in some cases, you may look and see that their eligibility documentation is over 2 years old, and you may want to re-verify income, because in that time period, the new eligibility rules have come on for Head Start. So at this point, you're going to want to have something in their file for them. But you don't need to apply because that's still a returning Head Start child.
No more questions.
All right. So we'll give it a couple more minutes. If anyone has any questions, feel free to write in the box. In the meantime, while we're wrapping up and making sure we've answered everyone's questions, please feel free to reach out. Again, if there are any user issues, then you want to make sure that you reach out to Victor, Craig, Miriam, or Yannette to be able to help you through that. If you have, as you start putting students in the system, if there is any issues with the access or anything you have where children aren't being confirmed, please do call that helpline and ask for help. There will be, I do want to highlight that one of the steps on the back end for us to go to confirmation is that a child must be given an impact ID, which is part of the CPS process. And so if there is any point where the child is in your system but you are unable to actually confirm, or sorry, to confirm and verify their placement, it will give you a pop-up to call that helpline number to make sure that you are able to reconcile the impact ID so that that child can be confirmed. That is the process that allows us to circumvent having to have you bring in folders and also be able to align with the Chicago Public Schools process. So if there's any issues with that, you will see a small exclamation point on the top of the screen, and it will tell you to call the helpline. So they'll be able to help you there.
How is income going to be verified for the children transitioning to Head Start from early Head Start if the time span is 30 days? Should we put them in the system now or wait to put the students in until they are ready to transition into the Head Start classroom?
Okay, the way that this is set up, I mean, a lot of people are unrolling children on an ongoing basis, but the whole way this was envisioned is as a way to recruit children who are coming in the fall. So if you've got someone who's right now in early Head Start, and you know that in September they're going to be counted as a Head Start child, but they're not ready to transition right now, and you're taking some time to do that. I would still put them in here right now, even if once you get them in and on the offer status, you don't do income verification for a few weeks. I would still have them in the system, have the account created and partway through the process, because that way the system knows that that spot has been filled or potentially filled. What you don't want to do is if you know they're going to be coming, but you don't take any action right now, and then you're lucky enough that you get so many referrals from out of the system that you don't have space for them because they're actually already in your system. So I would go ahead and take all the kids who you know are going to be coming into your Head Start program in the fall and put them in there right now, even if you don't complete the process. Just sit down and start asking for everybody.
Yeah, and as Craig said, that'll hold the spot for them, so that's not offered to another family. And what you can do is actually move the expiration date right there on the, it's not coming up with a date right now, but you'll see that when you log into yours, that you can actually go into the expiration date and extend that all the way until the start of school, so that it'll hold that spot indefinitely until you're able to verify for that family.
When I am trying to move children from waitlisted to extend them an offer, I can only do one at a time and must log out and log in again to move another child to offered status. Is there a reason, or is this just a glitch?
Yeah, that sounds like a bug, so we're going to test that one out as well. In the meanwhile, at least you have a workaround, but we're going to look into that. Thanks for calling that to our attention.
Yeah. So you shouldn't have to log out and log back in, but you will only be able to accept one child at a time off the wait list, because we do want to make sure that you are looking at that child's information and verifying that they actually can be accepted off the wait list. As I said, we don't want to accept children off the wait list that you are pretty sure you can't accept anyway, because it can be very confusing for parents.
Okay, no more questions.
All right. So if there are any other questions or concerns, you feel free to call or email, and we will make sure to get back to them. In the meantime, we do hope that this helped provide some additional clarification for those of you who are working in the system. If there are any other questions, again, tomorrow we will we'll have an open session with very similar information that will be provided tomorrow in person, and then the 2 dates, next Wednesday the 6th and the following Wednesday the 13th. Please sign up if you are feeling like you would like some one-on-one work with the application at a computer lab. There'll be plenty of time there and plenty of spaces open to do that.
If I have questions, who exactly do I email?
Slide again?
Yes, but can we go to the first slide again?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, if you have questions about accessing the application system, you want to contact Victor or Craig. If you have questions about registering, Victor, Craig, Miriam, or your net, you have all of their numbers and emails there. If you have any questions about students applying for students, any questions about certain students needing access or parents, feel free to call the helpline at 744-9322. And if there are any questions beyond that, Victor, Craig, Miriam, Marionette will be able to make sure that you get to the right person, as will the helpline. So if you're not sure, please go to any of those options. And then finally, the email address that this came from, my email address, Sam Eigner Treewergy, you'll be able to respond there. Although I will let you know, I will be out for next week, so you'll want to ask someone else during that time.
Great. Thank you, everybody. The webinar will be posted on our YouTube page, and we will send a link to everybody that was on the webinar today so they can view it and share it with their colleagues. Thank you very much.